Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stash Project. It's a little bit of a shop update. I was going to do a larger sort of bench update for people who have been following along loyally with the channel. You know that we have done, 5 live shows over the last 3 weeks. We didn't do any this weekend for New Year's because it was the first time in a number of years when my wife had New Year's off. Now, we didn't go do anything, but she had to work today. It's New Year's Day. So we didn't, she was in bed by like 9 o'clock last night. But it was fun. Just she was off. She had a 4-day weekend. It was just fun to sort of hang out after the hecticness of her schedule, where she was working over Christmas, but not Christmas Day, but every day around it and stuff like that. It was just good to sort of catch up and have some family time. So we didn't do any this week. We may do some next weekend, depending on what the situation with the kiddos is, whether or not they're going to go over to the mother-in-laws or not. But this is a shop update. You may notice that we're in a different position here. I try to have the camera more this way so it will be into the shelf behind me there, but when I do that, the sun in and out of the clouds is completely making my face disappear, and if I turn the overhead Voice of God light on, then it just blurs everything out. So it'll be a little bit of a work in progress while we figure out the camera angles here. We may have to just film on the other end of the table like we used to. Now, if you're like, where is everything? This is the other end of the room. This is the side of the room that you never got to see before because we filmed over there. Why we're over here? Well, as you can see, this is the window of doom here. If I put my hand up, sort of shade it, you can see right there beside my wrist is the vent for the spray booth, and peeking out of the corner of the picture right here is the spray booth. So yes, finally, after 6 months of going on and on and on and on and on about moving benches and painting walls and things like that, finally have the desk set up that has the booth on it. The booth is put into place. I still have to, as soon as my kids wake back up from their naps, go ahead and plumb it into the vent. It's a little bit of a project because this particular booth. And we'll do more of a complete sort of look at it when it's dark outside, so I'm not filming into this window. Also, when it's all hooked up, because this is I'm going to spin the camera a little bit more this way. Now it's going to give me this little glare right here from the window, but bear with me. This is an Artegraph booth. I can't remember what the number is on it, but be that as it may. It's by the company Artegraph. If you look up Artegraph, they only make one booth right now. They've made a bunch, but this is the only one they still make. It is a twin fan downdraft booth. It is basically about 3 feet wide. It's kind of hard to gauge from being far away, but it's about 3 feet wide. It is sheet metal around the 3 sides, and it has a clear Alexan roof to it. I think it's probably technically more of a polycarbide than Alexan, but whatever. But this is, like I said, it's clear, completely clear. The project of plumbing it in is because it's a twin fan. It has twin discharges on this side. If anybody knows anything about building codes and federal fire standards, you will know that you are no longer capable of buying a Y pipe for dryer ducting, because too many people plumb 2 dryers into 1 dryer duct, would back pressure the weaker of the 2 dryers and burn their houses down. So you can no longer buy a Y pipe for dryer ducting. Now, I could go and get one made via like a sheet metal person, but that sounds expensive. And so what I've done is I have like 20 feet of flexible 4-inch. This is way, way, way more than I need. I don't need 20 feet of it by any stretch of the imagination. Probably only need about 6 feet of it. But it was the only one I could get that is this really, really flexible style dryer sheet. There were a whole bunch of like smaller sizes, but they didn't have bags at Lowe's because everybody's gonna take and try out every effing thing that is in the store and not put it in back in its packaging. I tore this one open because I was gonna buy it to make sure it would fit for what I wanted to do. But basically, we're gonna stick it up here, plumb it down to the table, and when it gets down to the table itself, I have a wastewater Y. This is actually a plumbing Y, not a Y pipe. And this is a 3-inch Y. And I know somebody right now is going to give me some ration of crap about airflow, about just by shrinking it by 1 inch. But the best part about plumbing this 3-inch Y into this 4-inch dryer hose, if I can get it to fit without dropping the whole package on the floor, is that eventually, I have to sort of extend it out all the way because it's all crimped up on the end. There we go. Is that the Y will this will fit over the plumbing section basically of the Y pipe, and then I can put a clamp on it to hold it on. So it fits snug. So the clamp will go right here. It's airtight pretty much. And if it's not, I'll caulk a little bit of clear acrylic caulk, like the window caulk, into it, just to make sure it doesn't leak. And then we'll cut like 2 1-foot sections off the top of the Y, and that'll plumb into the twin discharges. And effectively, while there's a slight reduction of air through the Y, it goes back into a 4-inch pipe. And it is a huge CFM fan, well, 2 huge CFM fans in here. If I fire it up, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it because I have a space heater going here, which is that rattling you hear in the background. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I haven't, edited the video, so I don't know if you can hear it or not. And then my furnace running at the same time. But it sounds like a twin turbine helicopter starting up because it starts in sequence. It almost starts at the same time. And then over here is my Badger compressor. It's a 1-gallon tank compressor, just a standard off-the-shelf, what is the top-of-the-line Badger compressor at the moment. And then all my junk is up here. I've got, you can't see because the camera's too far up, but I've got 2 of the drawers back in here. When I was in here before, this table that is sitting almost so close to this desk, when I put the desk in here, I couldn't get these drawers in. Why we moved everything, this way, sideways, is of course that I can go from build area to paint booth. Obviously, the paint booth is just against the wall. It'll be closer to me, so it's not so against the wall and stand up kind of thing. But I can roll back and forth. I have a carpet down on the floor now, so my feet don't get cold in the basement. It's concrete floor down here. But I can roll back and forth in my office chair, la-di-da, without too many problems. A lot of this stuff that I don't use a lot of, like really violent sandpaper. This wire stuff I use for sometimes making various wire things. I used to make antennas and things out of it. Straighten it out. It's kind of rusty at this point from neglect. All my spare sanding sticks, my paint colors that I don't use a lot of because I have something like 70 odd colors of Tamiya paint, and obviously, really seriously, you only use about 12 or 14 of them at any given time, even with 3 builds going. My spare compressor, because I have another Badger compressor that is a tankless one. So should something happen to this, I can still do all my stuff. And I have a Pash siphon feed airbrush. That's in the bottom drawer. And like I said, a lot of the stuff that I don't have use for a lot. Rubber gloves, 500 count of Q-tips, 300 count of toothpicks. I got 100 count, or actually no, 250 count thing of pipettes coming to take and transfer color into the airbrush and things like that. I don't need all that stuff on the build side of the bench all the time. I got a new light that is a daytime equivalent reading light, one of the Verilux Smart Learning, as I call it, light. Basically, it's not yellow, it's white, it's daytime light. The base of it is probably probably half the size of the old style 1990s twin tube fluorescent desk lamp that I actually got as a present as a kid for my desk doing homework in middle school. So, I mean, it's lasted forever. But it was one of those old fluorescent style lights where you had to push the button and wait for the light bulbs to fire up and then let go of the button to turn them both on at the same time. This one is just instant on. It's fluorescent, but it's like white. It is 3 times as bright and half the size as the old one. So that is fine. And like I said, the Voice of God light is here too. And then let me pan back over here for a second. This thing right here is an LED, what is known as a D light. It's just what the company that makes it is called. Picked it up at Walmart probably 4 years ago, in the idea that I could take it and sit it sort of on the bench and point light that way, but it really isn't very effective that way, at least not for me. Looking to fill up details, I just fire the light up on the magnifier, and it's just as bright. But what this is, it's plumb, it's designed to be chargeable. You're supposed to be able to take it out to your car and use it to change flat tires and shit. But it could just be constantly plugged into the wall. And since this top part here is Lexan, or some clear plastic, I can then turn that on and have that light in the booth on, along with the Voice of God light and everything, and it's just bright, 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 bright. It doesn't necessarily look very bright, just sort of hanging out here. It'll flicker until it realizes that it's plugged into the wall, but once it switches power sources, it'll stop that. But it'll give me a nice base. I've stuck like things that are painted black that are sitting around here in there, and it's being sort of up close to it. It's one of the things that Hunter just did in one of his question and answer videos yesterday, I guess it was, about bright light and being at eye height, because that's shining this way and not like straight at you. It's real bright, but when you're actually in front of it, it's not bothersome to being like glare and you can't see. So we have plenty of light. And with that being a plug-in instead of being a battery, once the it'll be like, am I on battery, am I electric battery, like, oh, I'm plugged into the wall, okay, and then it'll be just a solid state. It won't dim over time the way it will when it's on battery, because that thing discharges pretty quick. I gotta admit, it's got a really lousy battery cycle, but I don't need it out and about. I just want it plugged into the wall on this thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really. Over here in the corner, there was a trash can down here. Hey, you can see the trash can. But right here in the space between the trash can and the wall, another shelving unit is going in here. When we get around to, and we're going to be moving a lot of stuff in the next couple of days. I got the kids off school one more day, so we'll see how much I get done tomorrow. But they go back to school Wednesday, and I can do stuff without being bothered. In the morning, when I'm actually functional and awake, usually it's like, hey, I have time, and it's like 7 o'clock at night, and I got to go to bed at 9 because I got to get up with these guys, and they get up at 5 in the morning because they have full alarm clocks that are like on off from Frozen. The sky's awake, so I'm awake, so let's play. I got the whole wall of kits that was behind me before, that is now, let me take this off here so it doesn't glare so much, that is now over there. That whole wall is going to get painted. And part of it's going to be waterproofed into that corner where the foundation meets and goes below grade. But once I take the kits that were off the shelf that was basically right behind my head that had all the race cars and stuff on it, once I take that shelf off there and move a couple of things otherwise, because you guys have probably heard me say this before, but I know I've only mentioned it really in the live streams because I can just sort of prattle on while I do stuff. There is that overhead thing that was full of I want to say vents, full of window screens and storm windows. I'm going to take everything out of there. I'm going to take 2 storm windows out and save them for the house. Everything else is going to go, and then that wood structure that holds it up is going to come down, and then behind where the race car kits were is actually a set of hooks on the wall that my grandfather used to hang all his hunting gear on back in the day, and it serves no purpose whatsoever, and this is basically nailed into the baseboard of the foundation, or the baseboard frame on top of the foundation, so that's going to get tore out of there too, so that everything will fit flush against the wall. This stuff right here needs to go down the wall, basically 4 inches. Everything has to go that way 4 inches, and then another shelf, which you can see sort of hanging out back here in the background, is going to erupt here. So there'll be a shelf here and a shelf here with a trash can in the middle, so nothing's blocked in. And then back where I was, if you guys are on the Facebook page, you saw that I posted a picture just shooting into the room today. There's going to be 2 more sets of shelves on diagonal across from me that'll wall this whole thing in, and I'll have to come in from over here to the side, which is fine. There's plenty of space, and that'll sort of wall me in. And like I said, it'll give me 4 more sets of shelves, Is that enough? You're funny. That's hysterical. But it will, at least this one, I'm going to build 2 sets of shelves in the next little bit here, because I hear running feet, so I can go back to working. One on over there will pretty much house the remainder of my domestic kits. I move these 2 shelves that you can't see over basically 4 inches, so it'll fit 2 sets of shelves in the gap that's there. And I put my 70s and 80s kits on that shelf. So I've got like the 280ZX, the Hurst Olds, Ram Charger, Pacer, Trans Am, the SVO Mustang, all that sort of stuff down on the shelf. Should be able to, with what is remaining, with another set of shelves, shelve all of my domestic kits, because my domestic kits I could fit somewhere between 12 and 15 kits per side per shelf. So each shelf will hold somewhere between like 24 and 30 model kits. Depends on how thick they are. A lot of the AMT boxes, the old Monogram boxes, are real narrow top to bottom compared to like the Mobius kit boxes, which are very deep compared to a regular domestic kit and still can't hold everything once you take it out of it. But I should get all of my domestic kits off the floor that I'm going to keep. I got some stuff I'm going to get rid of because I'm not going to hang on to it. And then from there, we'll sort of figure out what's going to go on. I think this shelf over here is going to be race cars. At least some of them. I've got enough rally cars at this point that they need their own shelf. I have probably more than enough touring cars to get their own shelf. We'll have to see how that works out. DTM could probably get its own shelf. And then, you know, it's just, I have to go around and look at things because I have so many, this is so many of an intricate pieces fitting into pieces sort of thing. Because I have a shelf that had Porsches on it and a shelf that had Mercedes on it, just specifically those 2 car manufacturers. And both of those kit collections have outgrown just a single shelf holding somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 models a piece. So it's probably going to end up being, you know, Porsche here, Mercedes here, and that middle shelf will be a blend of the 2 together. So that's going to take 3 of 4 shelves of the shelving unit, so then it becomes a what's on the top that goes, it's a lot of space that goes all the way to the ceiling rafter. And then I have a lot of course, Super GT kits. I have a lot of course, touring kits. And then this whole wall behind us, of course, is the whole Toyota Nissan thing where once it gets painted and moved around, a lot of that stuff's going to get reorganized so that a lot of the Nissan and Toyota stuff that's in boxes around here will go onto that shelf back there. I don't know that 4 shelves is going to be enough. I really don't. Especially with a case of Mercedes AMG kits coming. But it'll get most of it out of here. And then let's say, theoretically, with a build space and a bent and a booth space, maybe we can actually crank out a few things. And we'll never get stasis, because I'll never be able to not buy more than I build, unless I really start building a lot, really in a very rapid fashion. A good friend of mine always says that if I ever got things set up in my mind the way I wanted them to be, I'd crank out 50 models in a year, because it would just be a sort of a release of all the pent-up energy of not building. I don't know about that, but you know, certainly something, you know, resembling production could begin. It's my goal for 2018 to get 2 model kits done, because that'll be twice as many as I did last year. And in that vein, a couple things here before we go. We have this month, starting today, is the YouTube Big Rig build-off, group build, whatever they want to call it. We'll have a video for that later. I'm going to be participating in that. I really need to just sort of sit down and figure out what I'm going to do. I had a project in mind. Their rules, and I don't mean to be all like, yeah, their rules, but their rules for this contest were, unless you lived in Europe and could use a Europe tractor, which is kind of hinky, but whatever. You couldn't do a tractor, a single axle tractor. It has to be basically an over-the-road truck, or at least a heavy-duty day cab where it has dual axles in the back. Under the assumption that that somehow makes it a Class 8 truck, but if it was a single axle, it's not, which is not true, because that's a whole different weight class and everything else. You know, truck driver arguments aside, it's 2 different things. So I was going to do 1 truck and trailer combination, which I'm probably going to still do as my non-official entry, because I really wanted to do the truck and the trailer. So I'm sort of sitting here looking at what I have left over, which is, you know, a half a dozen, probably closer to a dozen trucks, and I'll figure out something with some other trailer. I've a couple different projects, and of course, also starting today, January 1st, is the Ford Truck Month by Tim Halsley. I don't know that I'm going to do anything with that. It is something, I think it was Gary over at Gascade Model Works. I'm sorry, Gary, if I butchered your channel name, but I know your real name now, and I have trouble calling people by their channel names when I know their real names. But anyway, Gary said if it was Chevy Truck Month, I got a whole S-load of Chevy trucks. I don't have that many Ford trucks. I have like the 237s, the 53. I got rid of my 56. I don't have the Foose truck yet. And then I have like the Monogram 250, 350. I have a Meng F350. I've got a Ford Louisville straight truck, but I don't really feel like building basically amounts to 3 trucks at one time at that point. I have a 2013 Raptor. I'm thinking if I participate, because again, it's like a whole, can I really build a kit in a month even with this stuff? Because I really haven't been in that kind of production since I was like 18, 19 years old. I have one of the 79 Ford Ranger pickups, the reissue of the old Monogram kit that Revell did. Well, I guess it was probably last year, about right around the time the Ram Charger did. I have that kit, and then I have like a couple of the Lindbergh and the one of the AMT, I think. I have to look. I know one of the Revell, like the 97 Ford F-150s, and I don't know, nothing really about any Ford truck at the moment where I'm at with building what I'm building really trips my trigger, other than doing the Meng F350 for another side project that I have in my mind. Because I have nothing against the 37 Fords. I think one of them started though, and then there's I have I have all the Mobius Fords, of course, the 69 through the 72s. None of those are really screaming, build me, build me, build me either. So I don't know. If it was Toyota Truck Month or Nissan Truck Month or Chevy Truck Month, I'm in there. I'm in it to win it. But Fords, there's a lot of classic Ford trucks in the sense of like old annuals and stuff like that. But none of that stuff is really around. And you guys know from watching this channel, I don't buy that old stuff. In the sense of I don't buy old kits, but I don't buy old annuals. If I'm going to go blow $300 on something, there's a resin race car that I'd rather go buy than buy some, 45, 50-year-old model kit that, isn't worth $300 by any stretch of the imagination. It's just this fake made-up collectible value thing that got put on the kits. See the $80 34 Model A, coupes that are going to be worthless when the new ones come out towards the summer. But I don't know, the 54 is always an option. I have one of the original 54s, the one that's going to be built stock. I kind of like the whole 54 vibe, but I don't know. We'll see. So those two things are going on. I know there's a couple other group builds going on, like a TV and movie car. And no offense to people doing it, just no. How many General Lee's Night Riders and whatnot can you build in one sitting? And then I've got a lot of stuff that I do want to build, but it just doesn't fit into anything. For anybody who hasn't not watched, I know I'm blabbering now, but anybody who hasn't watched our live streams, and I will do a video update on this stuff once I get everything settled down, and because all this junk has to be put away and everything else. We've been building a Fujimi Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG GT3 car, a BMW Z4 GT3 car, as well as still plugging away a little bit here and there at the Acura Ni Honda NSX, the new Tamiya kit, the 2015 or actually 2016 Honda NSX. So like I said, I'll update you guys with that, because I know not everybody wants to watch a live stream. There's probably people right now that tuned out of this video a half an hour ago going, oh, I'm not going to listen to them just blather on and point at stuff. But the two race cars are getting real close. But basically, they need to be painted, and then they're going to be done. The interior needs to be worked on in the Mercedes quite a bit as far as the detail painting goes. But the BMW, for all intents and purposes, it needs to be painted, because this was the project that I was doing, that I did the one that I screwed up the decals. I pulled that whole kit out, put a new body into it, and basically looks like it's pretty ready to go. So anyway, guys, that's my blather for the moment. So we'll catch up on a couple of the videos for the group builds and whatnot, and of course got the stash report coming up as well. The January compilation video will come out whenever the people at Revell come back into the office. Obviously, it's a holiday today on Monday, but I don't know what their plans are for the week. I know places like Hobby Link. I think Hobby Link Japan's closed, but I'm not sure. I'm not positive. But Hobby Search, Hobby Easy, and a couple, and Aoshima itself, Tamiya itself, Studio 27 itself, they're all closed until Friday. They're taking a big long, basically a week off starting on, it's past Saturday. Everybody's off, so there's not going to be a whole lot going on kit-wise, for the show next week anyway, so we're just waiting to see how long Revell intends to take off as far as announcing their January stuff, because I got everything else, and we'll go from there. Anyway, see you guys on the other side.